My car stopped working the other day. Actually, it'd be more accurate to say it didn't start working. It wouldn't start. And normally I enjoy working on the car, actually, but in this case I really needed to go somewhere. And so I wasn't thrilled to be left standing there in the driveway. Now, maybe you don't have car trouble, but odds are this dynamic is still familiar to you. Our lives have no shortage of obstacles or unexpected problems which can get in the way of what we're trying to do. Often we encounter these in a variety of ways: an injury or an illness, a personality conflict with someone at work or at home. Even the Christmas season with the joy and love that it brings can sometimes be a challenging time. It can sometimes be a difficult time, even to get to church. I'm one of 6 kids, and so usually we'd be rolling up maybe as Mass started, maybe a few minutes after, and it could sometimes be a stressful time. I've often taken the Christmas story for granted: Joseph and Mary, the trip to Bethlehem, no room in the inn, Jesus placed in the manger, the Magi, the shepherds, the angel. When you stop to think about it, though, it really seems like a story of a plan that hit all sorts of obstacles, all sorts of problems. Think about it from a theological perspective. This is quite literally the most important event in the history of salvation. If you heard that first reading and let it sink in, this is a moment that's been foreshadowed and prophesied for centuries, for millennia even. But yet when it arrives, there's all sorts of complications, all sorts of problems. And not to be impertinent, but you'd think the creator of the universe, the Almighty, the Omnipotent, would have anticipated some of these contingencies. Yet here's the Son of God, now a helpless infant, unable to find suitable shelter. The King of Kings placed in a dirty feeding trough. Immediately his life is in danger, hunted by Herod. No apparent plan for the future, exiled from home. I guess what bothers me is how the entire plan of salvation seems to be on the brink of failure. It's haunted by constant complications, unexpected obstacles. It just seems kind of weird. And this brings me to a question, perhaps the kind of question that would get you kicked out of Sunday school, but which is really a good one and worth pondering if you're willing to wait a little bit for an answer. And the question is, why does God do this? Why does God allow things to unfold in this way, allowing the most important moment in salvation history to be a bit of a complicated mess? So often in our lives, the temptation is to face life's difficulties the way I faced my car in the driveway that morning, with frustration, irritation, with impatience, with resistance, or even denial. And this can become tiring because, honestly, for many of us, our life, our families, our church, our world look a lot less like a Macy's Christmas display with everything perfect and in its place, and a lot more like the actual Christmas story, a little bit chaotic, things going off the rails. But what if God does this on purpose? We can look at the story a little bit different way. Look at that nativity story again. It's still a complicated and messy situation. There's no way around that. But who is found right in the middle of it all? Who indeed chose to enter into the middle of it all? Jesus, God himself, God made man. And this suggests, to me at least, that it might be precisely in those messy situations in our life that we will come face to face with Jesus. This is something I've seen even in my 2 years now as a priest, this recurring story. I get to talk to lots of people, and I hear how God is at work in their life, and so often it's the same story, not unlike the nativity story, of these moments of great difficulty in which they come face to face with Jesus himself. And so those problems, those car not starting experiences, so to speak, that we each have can actually be places of great grace, of encounter, of communion with Jesus, if we approach them patiently and trusting in God. Behold, the kingdom of God is among you. This is what Jesus says later on in his ministry, and this is true of our own lives too, if we're willing to make an act of faith about God's presence there. And to put it in different words, the thing in our life, in your life, that you might think is just a dumpster fire might actually be the burning bush. That driveway that I was standing on was actually holy ground, not because of the problems, but because God is there. God is here. Emmanuel, God is with us. Now, this Christmas, I invite you to spend some time looking at the nativity scene, either the one here in the church, maybe you have one at home, there's a lot around, to take a moment and look at that nativity scene, to spend a moment thinking about this story. And as you do so, I invite you to pray, Lord, give me the grace to see you. Give me the grace to see you present in my life. It's easy for me to see the problems. Now grant me the faith to recognize you and your abiding presence. And then give me the courage to respond with trust and with love. As you and I look at that scene, may it be for us an image of our own lives as well, standing there with Mary and Joseph, surrounded by a lot of challenges, no doubt, but sitting right in the middle of it is Jesus. Out of all the places to be, Jesus wants to be there. It's there that Jesus comes to meet you, and that is a remarkable gift.